All right, all right. Thank you, everybody. So thank you all for joining us. As mentioned earlier, we've taken all your questions and we'll be answering your questions. So to kind of walk through the agenda for today's call. So as mentioned before, I'm Ian Balina, founder and CEO of Tokenmetrics. So today we'll be going through our new feature that's been widely requested, our Tokenmetrics Indices. This is something we're very, very excited to publish to our audience and to have you all really kind of leverage to become better investors. So this call is being recorded. So if anybody has to drop off early, we'll basically email this probably by tomorrow, I believe, and we'll also have some things to kind of add to that as well in terms of notes. Okay, so we do have a few people who are brand new to Tokenmetrics. In the last, I would say, weekend or so, we've had probably double the number of customers who are typically joining Tokenmetrics. So we do realize there's a whole new audience. Some people have been very into the index launch. So I want to kind of go through and just give you a quick overview and answer your questions. So that there will be an in-depth demo because we think because this is a brand new feature, we want to make sure our customers are able to maximize and use it fully. So I'll be going through and doing an in-depth example in terms of how I would personally use this, right? Now, as mentioned, as usual, this is not investment advice. This is us just kind of sharing how we would go through and build our own portfolio. And any questions we answer are not any form of customized or tailored advice to make any investments, right? As usual, do your own research. Investing in cryptocurrencies is risky, but I think we're all adults. We're all here in crypto trying to make money. So we all know the risks involved, right? But hopefully in the last few months, especially during alt season, people are making money. Okay, all right, so let's begin. I think we now have a good crowd to begin. So let me just hop straight into it. Just give me 1 second to pull up my screen here. Okay. Do you all see my screen? Could you please just comment in the chat if you guys are able to view my screen? And also if my audio is fine? Yes? Okay. All right, great. Yeah, so first thing first, to access the indices. Okay, sorry, let me just see if I can turn off all these alerts because people keep on joining and keeps making noise. Just give me 1 second. Apologies for that. Okay, maybe I'm not able to do that now. Okay, anyway, that's fine. So let's hold the questions till after this. So when you log into Tokenmetrics, if you go here to the top, you go to data indices, this will take you to this page. So right now, this page is also still kind of a work in progress. We're going through because it's something relatively new. We're always making new updates and new changes to everything we have. So just kind of bear with us. Right now, we'll go through and we'll add more information and descriptions in terms of how all this works. That's why it says this, right? So probably by the end of the week, we'll have more documentation in terms of how to leverage this. But the big question people are always asking in crypto is how to build a cryptocurrency portfolio, and then 2, how to diversify and how to allocate your weights. And this varies for all kinds of cryptocurrency investors. So one of the challenges with what we had with Tokenmetrics is while we have lots of data and ratings, based on just customer feedback, it was very difficult to have very fast time to value, right? Because not everybody has time to go through all the research we do. Some people just want to know, okay, what coins to buy, what's the allocation, and why, right? And this varies for all different investor types. So we've taken all our ratings, ratings from our team of analysts, me, Bill, our entire team, plus the analytics and the data, plus the machine learning. And we've used that to then build example portfolios that we think would be good to invest in. Now, obviously, this is just purely our opinion, right? But we think this is a good guide. This is a good place to start for anybody, whether you're brand new into cryptocurrency investing or trading, or whether you've been in this space for 3 years, 5 years, and you're a crypto OG. So we think this basically fits the entire spectrum. And then lots of people have been telling us they've been trading or investing using the price predictions, and it's been very challenging having to go through and individually click on every single coin to get the price predictions. So we've also added that into the indices. So we go through and we give you the top 10 coins based on price predictions. Okay, so let's hop into that. Okay, so as mentioned, you go to data indices to pull this up. The first step is really determining your investment style. So this is customized to you. This is different for everybody. This depends on your appetite for risk. Some people are very risk averse, so that person would most likely be a value investor. Value investor is somebody who typically has an investment horizon of 12 months or longer, somebody who's targeting long-term capital gain tax treatment, as opposed to short-term capital gain tax treatment, at least here in the US. But because crypto is very volatile, we've also grouped in there somebody who wants to maybe trade or rebalance their portfolio every 3 months, every quarter, right? In regular equity markets, that's not typically the case, but because crypto is very volatile, we've added that in here, okay? So as you go through here, we also have trader. Trader is somebody who has 1 month or less time horizon. So we have weekly and monthly. So for example, let's say I'm a trader. How can I use Tokenmetrics to trade? That's one question that people have emailed us with these indices. So I would say you come here in trader. Down here, this shows you the ROI of each type of indice. So in this case, we have trader weighted weekly, technical analysis weekly, price prediction weekly, weighted monthly. So let's say, so right now, the best performing trading indice is the price prediction monthly. So I would just click monthly, price prediction, submit. It basically goes through and pulls that up. And using this now, it's given me the current holdings of this indice, right? So it's holding Algorand, Nebulous, Loom Network, Eternity, Decred, BitTorrent, Zcoin, Hypercash, Molecular Future, and Wazir X. Now, one thing to note, the price prediction indice is based on price predictions, obviously, but it does not factor into account any fundamentals, any technology or code, any technical analysis. So it's based purely on the charts. So while it's the best performing indice at the moment, it's also what I would classify as the most risky, because it's not factoring in fundamentals, right? Because it may factor in coins that might not have the best fundamentals at all, right? It's based purely on the price action, purely on the charts. So that's one thing to note. So this I would say is definitely for traders, people who have a higher appetite for risk. Okay, so then down here, one question that was also very popular or common with our customers is they want to know, how do our ratings actually perform, right? Can these ratings actually make you money? So right now we're tracking, being very transparent with each indice, how well it's performing, right? So as you see here, the price prediction indice began. So the testing for this has been about 3 months so far, right? So it's still relatively new, but it's already been performing pretty well, right? Now, this is the entire portfolio, right? This is not just one coin. This is the entire portfolio as a whole. So this kind of gives you just an honest barometer to measure the indice, right? Maybe this is performing better than your current portfolio. So maybe this could be a guide to show you how to improve your portfolio. And then this also shows the performance of Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin has basically been going sideways in the last month or so. And then if we go down here, this shows the actual indice holdings. This is something people have been asking for as well. For those who've been following me since 2017, you know I got pretty popular for sharing transparently my portfolio via my spreadsheet, via social media as well. So this is kind of the evolution of that. So this is not just my portfolio, but now we have lots of model portfolios based on our data and our ratings. So if going over here, because this is the price prediction, this shows you the predicted growth for each cryptocurrency, right? So looking at this, Molecular Future has the highest predicted growth. But in general, almost all the coins here have a predicted growth over 30%. And this shows you the initial price, the portfolio weights and allocation. So the portfolio weights and allocation are currently determined based on the grade. So we take the top predicted gainers for the month based on the price prediction models, and then we just allocate them based on the grades, because we want to make sure we're allocating the most towards projects that have better fundamentals, right? We still kind of factored in some fundamentals. Right now, we're not factoring in the accuracy of the prediction. That's something we're currently working on, and we're hoping to have that published and updated probably by the end of the week. So we'll basically factor in both the predicted growth plus the accuracy of the prediction to kind of maybe come up with a hybrid. That way, actually no, I'm sorry. We'll go through and we'll filter out any predicted growth that has an accuracy lower than 80% in the last three months, right? So that way we only have coins that we think have performed well from an accuracy standpoint, and we think that will also just bring better gains, okay? And then going down here, this logs the transactions this index is making. This is probably one of the most important parts. So whenever there's a change, so whenever it's buying or selling, basically adding or removing tokens from its portfolio, everything will be logged and documented here, right? So it would tell you, okay, it bought this, it sold that, right? So this will kind of give you an idea on how to really kind of follow along and leverage the indices. Now, we're still kind of making a few tweaks, so please bear with us. But for the most part, this kind of gives you an idea in terms of how to really leverage this. Now, the other most popular question, let's say you are a long-term investor. You want to hold for 1 year or longer, right? So what's the best portfolio for that? I would come here to value investor, and then I would just, actually, I'm sorry. I would pick annual, and I would pick balanced approach, in my opinion. So basically, balanced means it's a combination between fundamentals and technology. So the value investor, this is somebody who has a longer time horizon, as mentioned. Annually means that you would pick your investments and you would rebalance once a year, right? So basically, you won't make any trade or change for the next 12 months. So in this case, if we go here, value investor, balanced annually, this currently is up 86% in about 3 months or so. This shows you the performance of this index since it began versus Bitcoin. And down here, this shows you the holdings, right? So in terms of taking all the fundamentals and the technology and everything, the recommended portfolio for this index is holding Cosmos, Maker, Dash, Bitcoin, Amizigo, Cardano, Binance, Neo, Ethereum, and Matic. So that's that. And then down here, obviously, because this doesn't really make any changes, everything would be logged down here if it does, right? And then one of the next things we are working on, this was also a question people had, being able to send you alerts whenever there are changes to the index, right? So that's something we are working on. Timeline for that is probably in the next, I would say, probably as early as 1 month or as late as 2 months, but definitely by summertime, right? So before end of summer, we'd like to have that out. So we'll basically be sending you email alerts and then maybe even browser alerts as well. Okay, I see here we have a quick question. Let me just answer this. Is the predicted growth column available to all membership plans? I currently have investor plan, but do not see the column on the index holdings. So the predicted growth is only available if you go to the price prediction index. So you have to choose price prediction, right? You have to specifically choose this to view the price prediction, right? So because all the other columns are not price prediction, they do not have that. But maybe I'll talk to our development team. Maybe if that's something you guys would like to have with every index holding, then maybe that's something that could be a value. So thank you for that. Okay. All right. So let me just kind of pause there. Anybody else with any other questions I can help answer or clarify in terms of how to really maximize this? If not, then I can also get to the questions everyone emailed earlier. No. Okay. All right. So let me get to some questions some people had emailed earlier. Okay. So in terms of the questions specifically around the indices, I've covered how to really use them. Right. That was a common question people had. Then I've also answered, so yes, there are multiple indices to cater to different investor types. So as mentioned, we have the value investor, and the trader. Then we also have the different time horizons. So we have weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, and then we also have different styles such as balanced, fundamentals, technical analysis. Okay, and then a question from Robin. He emailed was, it's been quite a mission selecting the price prediction coins and tokens weekly. We've been using Binance to do it. Is there an easier way and place to make it happen? To get a price prediction coin, it can mean going through up to 100 coins on the tokenmetrics list. Thanks for the awesomeness. We have had consistent weekly gains. That's great, Robin. Definitely great news that you're making money with tokenmetrics. Yeah, so as I mentioned, the price prediction indice, we think basically solves that, right? So no longer do you have to go through individual coins to find the price predictions. Now you just go to trader, pick your style. So right now the monthly has been performing well. So just pick that, you run it, and it'll basically give you the portfolio and it will give you the holdings, right? So then obviously at this point, it's basically up to you to do your own research and choose whether or not you want to have these coins in your portfolio. Okay. All right. So going on to the next question. So how do I use the indices if I want to dynamically dollar cost average into a position? How often should I rebalance the portfolio? Do the indices tell me when to sell the coins and take profit? Okay. So I've kind of answered that, but I'll answer that in more detail and basically be more direct. So in terms of dollar cost averaging, so to kind of explain that, right? So let's say you have $12,000 and you don't want to just invest all that into crypto in just one time, right? So maybe you choose to dollar cost average by putting in $1,000 each month over 12 months. So that can definitely work. You would basically pick an index you want to follow based on your investment style. Then you'd come down here and you'd basically just kind of model the portfolio. But as opposed to putting in $12,000, you would put in $1,000, right? So in this example portfolio began at $10,000. Now it's up to 42,000 in about 3 months. However, right, you just kind of go through here based on the portfolio weights. So if you have $1,000 the first month, this says 9.72% into Y0X, for example, right? So that would be about $97.20 into this, right? So you basically build your portfolio based on the portfolio weights, and so I'll just times this by the amount you have to invest, right? So if we go down here, Hypercash, this has 10.52%. So this would be about $100 and or so, I believe, right? So I'll just use the portfolio weights to help you with that. And then going to the other part of the question, okay, when to sell and when to take profit. So the rebalancing does that for you, right? So, and that also depends on your style. So for example, if you're a value investor, but you want to maybe rebalance every 3 months, every quarter to kind of capture more market trends, you could just do that here, right? So in this example, you'd basically rebalance every quarter, every 3 months. So whenever there's a change here, right, you basically do that, right? So for example, here, just bought Bitcoin on April 4th, it bought more Bitcoin. Now, please bear with us. There are some slight issues with some coins where it's showing negative, but that's something we'll fix. But in general, right, for example, in this portfolio, it basically bought Bitcoin, it bought Ethereum, right? So it bought 1 grand of Bitcoin, 1 grand of Ethereum, and it sold the rest of the portfolio. So there was high turnover with this portfolio, right? And that's what happens when you pick something more short term. Okay, but in general, this is what I would use. Okay, I'm seeing a quick question from Robin. Awesome job, Ian and the team. Ian, we were thinking of having, say, 5 portfolios using the TM indices to balance risk and return. Would that make sense to you? Yes, actually, that definitely would. That's something that's also been on our minds. So so as opposed to having one specific portfolio, you could basically have a group of portfolios. So maybe you have one that's based on a value investor long-term, right, annually. Then maybe you have one that's quarterly, or maybe you have one that's based purely on fundamentals, one that's based purely on technology, one that's based on trading, right? So maybe one that's based on weekly technical analysis, and then maybe you also have one based on price predictions, right? So I think definitely kind of diversifying across several indices definitely is a good thing. If you go to institutional investors, that's something that's common in terms of having funds of funds. So basically other funds that invest into a basket of funds, or kind of like going into the stock market when you invest into a basket of mutual funds. So we think that definitely is a wise approach to do. It definitely does kind of take more time and just to kind of do and just manage, but we think it definitely is a good way to mitigate the risks involved in cryptocurrency investing, right? So for example, our price prediction, I'm sorry, the technical analysis index has been performing pretty well. I know lots of people have been happy with Chainlink. Chainlink has basically entered the top 10 market cap. So congrats to anybody who's been holding Chainlink. Okay, let me go back to the quick list of questions. So next question, what is the best medium term hold with the greatest moon potential? Okay, so just based off of that, I would say you're probably looking to be more of a trader, or maybe, yeah. So I would say, actually, let me take that back. If you're thinking medium term, I'm thinking the quarterly indices are probably your best bet, because you rebalance every 3 months or so. So I would just do that, and then just basically look at your style. Do you want to have a balanced approach? Do you want to focus purely on the fundamentals? If we look at the quarterly, so value investor balanced quarterly has performed the best. So taking both fundamentals and technology into account, and basically also the TA as well. So I would probably just do this type of portfolio. And I mean, because looking at this, all these, in my opinion, are definitely good coins. And actually, one thing I did forget to mention, which is pretty important. Currently, for all the indices, we filter out any cryptocurrencies that are illiquid. So the requirement we have is that all the cryptocurrencies in the index have to have a trading volume greater than $500,000 daily. So if you see any particular coin and you're wondering why this other coin isn't in there, then maybe it's probably illiquid, I would say. But going through this example, I mean, this is a pretty solid portfolio in my opinion. Matic, 0x, Zilliqa, Ethereum, Argo, Bitcoin, Stellar, Zcash, Cosmos, and VeChain. I think this is a pretty strong portfolio. And I think this would suit somebody who has a medium investment time horizon. Okay, a few other questions here from Robin. Thank you. Is there any benefit to rebalancing weekly, or will it have the same outcome of doing it monthly, i.e. less frequently? So in terms of how effective rebalancing is, it all depends, right? So I would just compare the performance, right? So if we go to weekly, for example, so let's say weekly TA, let me just update this here. So weekly has performed 104% for the weighted. So that's been the best, I believe. Then weekly TA is about 80%. Price prediction isn't so good. It's about 30%. So weekly has performed the best. Right now, we're also testing daily, but that's still very early. So even though this technically should not even be shown here, I have to talk to our team about that. But yeah, I would say so far, I mean, for when it comes to trading, weekly has been performing very, very well, weekly, and the price prediction monthly, right? Then also the TA monthly as well is also performing well. So I would really just use the ROI plus your investment horizon, how often you want to trade. So if you want to trade weekly, then I would pick the best performing weekly indice. Julian says, is the price prediction based on a period of past performance or what is likely to come? So as mentioned earlier, it's based purely on the historical pricing on the chart. So no fundamentals, no code. Then it uses that to predict over the next 30 days where it's going. Right. So if we go to an example, so right now, let me pick Holochain as an example. Okay, so if we go to price predictions, so so one thing also to mention, right? People always are asking why are the price prediction different than the actual ratings? Because they're two totally different models, right? So they don't talk to each other. So price prediction only looks at the price, right? So let me repeat that again because it's crucial. Price prediction only looks at this chart and the past price and tries to predict where it's going, right? And then, so this model hasn't been the most accurate one. Actually, let me pick one that I think last time I checked has been fairly accurate. The Chainlink one, I believe, was pretty accurate. While the ratings here, so the overall grades, these are different, right? These are based purely on fundamentals, technology, and the TA, while price prediction is based purely on the charts, and the TA is based purely on the TA indicators, right? So, for example, looking at this, Chainlink has been very, very accurate, right? If you check the chart here, I mean, it almost looks like a ghost, like just copying this trend. So, and as mentioned, this should just be one tool in your toolbox. This should not be the only thing you use to invest. But I think now that we have the indices, now this kind of gets even more investable because you're basically spreading the risk across 10 different cryptocurrencies or assets. So, for example, if one prediction is wrong, then your portfolio won't really be too affected because you have lots of other cryptocurrencies you're holding in the indice. But yeah, I mean, so for example, the price prediction models are very bullish on Chainlink, and everything has pretty much been moving in lockstep. And this has Chainlink going to about $9.50, so slightly shy of $10. And if you go down here, this basically kind of shows you the daily price prediction trend, right? So this kind of gives you a trend of where it's going. So hopefully that answers your question. Question from Joshua. Thank you, Ian and team. Great platform, especially with the indices. Would you recommend on the annual time horizon for long-term holding? Does that prevent from selling too early? Yes. So the annual is the longest, has the longest time horizon. So for somebody who's a long-term holder, that is probably the best option. So going here to annual and picking balanced, this gives you this is basically for hodlers, right? People who don't want to trade and people who want long-term capital gains tax treatment. Okay, let me go to the next questions on the list here. Okay, yeah, so actually that was a question somebody had. So what do you think is the best way to currently use token metrics indices as long-term investor? So long-term, that's basically the way I would do it, right? So to recap, value investor annually, balanced. Now that's just my personal approach. Everybody's different. So definitely do everything based on your investor profile, your appetite for risk. As mentioned, always invest disposable income only, right? So money that you don't need, don't put in your rent money, your grocery money, your college kids savings, right? So all this is money that you could possibly lose, because it is crypto. So value investor is the best approach in my opinion for long-term investing. Okay, all right. Next question. Okay, how do we use ratings versus indices to optimize token searching? Thank you. I'm not sure I quite understand, but I would say, so as mentioned, ratings and indices are different. right? So the indices are basically building a diversified portfolio based on our ratings, right? So it's the quick way to turn our ratings into action, right? To turn insights into action, because while the research is good for kind of getting into the weeds, not everybody has time to get into the weeds. We do understand some people have full-time jobs, they have family and kids, right? So time is of the essence. So the indices are kind of like the very quick way to go through and make sure as you're building your crypto portfolio, you're investing into uh, cryptocurrencies that have good upside and making sure everything is diversified and you're managing risk, right? Especially if you're doing the value investor. If you're a trader, this gives you a very good list of coins to trade very quickly without having to go through and do all the research. All right. So now let's shift to the price predictions. I think I've covered some of these questions, right? So the question somebody had was, why are the price prediction models so off lately? For example, Cosmos token, where predicted price goes sharply down and the actual price has gone sharply up in July. Okay, so let me pull up Cosmos and just take a look at that to see what you're talking about. So, I mean, so just to kind of preface this, right? The price prediction models, they're just that, they're predictions. They're not always perfect. Now, each prediction we have is custom tailored to each individual coin, meaning that Cosmos has its own custom model, and the Cosmos model for price prediction is different from the model for Bitcoin, for example, right? It's not a one size fits all. So look, so yeah, I can see here the accuracy for Cosmos has been down in the last month, and sometimes that's just the nature of crypto. That's just the volatility. So right, not everything will always be perfect, right? So going into this, yeah. So basically, in May and June was pretty rough for Cosmos, right? Not sure exactly what happened. I know one of the co-founders did step down. So I'm not sure if that's the major factor, but I would say maybe that could have played a part, right? So pretty much kind of like a black swan event. Maybe some newsworthy event happened that obviously the model couldn't really predict. So in general, I would say if you're trading Cosmos, right? So I'm guessing if you're using price prediction, if you're probably trading it, I would say they're probably better coins to trade, right? Right, because if you're a value investor, I don't think you'd really be concerned too much about short-term price movements. So if you're trading, I would just use the price prediction indices to trade, right? Because I think that will give you cryptocurrencies that have a higher accuracy for prediction and also a higher possible predicted gains. Okay, let me just check in here and see how we're doing. Okay, all right. Next question. In the total grade you give to cryptocurrency, the weight of the price performance or the price prediction goes included in the 33% of the technical analysis. If the answer is yes, okay, I think this question is about the weights and the total grades. So I've kind of covered this. So if we go back here to each coin, so the ratings we have here are totally different and separate from the price prediction ratings, right? Price prediction model is looking just purely at price, while our ratings for overall grade, technology, fundamentals, and TA, those look at different data points, right? So for example, the technical analysis, which currently shows Cosmos as being bullish, this is looking at all these indicators, right? So this is different than the price prediction. So hopefully that part makes sense. Then so now let's segue to trading questions that you all had for us. So the first question, how to day trade better and with more accuracy? Okay, very good question. So this is something we have covered on our channel on YouTube, but I'll cover here again. And I think also when you all join Tokemetrics, we also do email this out. So we call this. So actually, I'll use two approaches, right? So the first approach, if you're trading, honestly, I would just use the indices because that's why we designed them, right? It kind of does the heavy lifting for you. So I would do. So if we just go here, for example, right? So the trader weekly. trader weighted weekly, or even in this case, the trader technical analysis monthly is actually performing better. So I would just honestly just do it like this if I was trading myself, right? Now, those who know, I don't really trade per se. I'm more of a, I would say, a long-term holder. So mainly from, I would say, quarterly to annually. So that's kind of what I would use. But if you're trading, honestly, I would just use the indices to then kind of use this as either your trading portfolio and rebalance every single month, or maybe use this to pick which coins to trade, right? The other approach, if you want to target specific individual coins, this is the 3-point checklist I've covered before. So I would just come here. I would only focus on the top 5 coins. So actually, I'm sorry. I would switch this to trader, right? I would only focus on the top 5 coins, in this case, coins with high overall grades for trading. Then next thing, I would filter out coins that only have a bullish or very bullish uptrend. And then the third part on the checklist would be the price prediction, right? So in this case, our models are bullish on Amisago. Holochain we already covered. The price prediction model was not bullish on that. Let me look at Kyber and Stellar. So these are 3 possible trades. So this is basically me building a watch list. And we know that the TA is bullish, the grade is bullish. Now, if we go to the price prediction, in a perfect world, we would hope this is also bullish, right? So right now, this is not too bullish for Amisago. Now, if we go to Kyber, let's take a look at Kyber. Okay, Kyber is also predicted to go down. And if we go to Stellar, okay, yeah, so all 3 of these are predicted to go down. So this is, so as mentioned before, those models are different. So I'll just keep on going down the list. So let's take a look at Decred, Waves. Let's take a look at this. So sometimes maybe you're not able to find all 3, right? So as mentioned, that's kind of more of a perfect dream, right? So in this case, we see here, Decred is currently at $17, and the price prediction model has it going to about $19, all the way till the end of May. So maybe this would be one trade, right? Because this kind of has a bullish price prediction, and it has bullish TA and a good grade, right? So maybe this is one trade to target. Let's take a look at Waves. So going to the price prediction here. Okay, yeah. So this one is not that accurate, right? So I mean, as mentioned before, right? It is crypto. Sometimes there aren't really many insights. Sometimes the charts are just off, whether it's because of black swan events or just other newsworthy events happening that haven't been factored into the models as of late, right? So I would say if that's probably the best approach in terms of targeting individual specific coins. But honestly, I think the indices have a better approach because you're diversifying across a basket of different cryptocurrencies. Okay. Moving on, let's go on to the next question. Okay, I think I've covered most of the trading questions because they're mainly around the difference between the price prediction and the TA, and then the ratings changing. Yeah, I mean, okay, see here we have a comment. Okay, so Robin says, this is what I've been doing manually, or we've been doing manually, but it takes a long time because to get to 10 highly ranked that are heading upwards means I have to, yeah. So as mentioned before, we've tried to make this easier for you with the indices. So it does the heavy lifting for you to find those hidden gems. Okay, so going on to the questions regarding tokens. So question somebody had, based on current token metrics rankings, would Synthetics Network be considered the best DeFi investment at this time if only choosing one DeFi token? Okay, that's a good question. So in terms of DeFi, so you didn't really mention if you're trading or if you're a value investor, but now I'll just assume if you're targeting a category, you're probably more of a value investor. So if we go to value investing here, and we look at, so this is based on the data we have at this point in time. So in terms of DeFi, right now, the highest rated DeFi coin we have is Maker. So we have Maker, then we have Kyber. Synthetics is third. So I would say Maker is the one, which does make sense in a way because Maker is somewhat undervalued. If we go to DeFiPulse.com, we all know Maker used to be king of the hill, but now Compound is the shiny, sexy new cryptocurrency in the DeFi space. So Maker has kind of been, I would say, overlooked. And we think Maker could possibly bounce back. As you see here, Maker is number 2, right behind Compound. But Compound dominance at one point was about 40%. So it's been decreasing. And I think that the hype is now starting to slowly die down with Compound. And I think people will now realize, okay, Compound and Maker are now kind of competing. So Compound could be, I'm sorry, Maker could be underpriced. Okay, somebody's saying, let me just take the chat real quick. Thanks very much to you and the team for this super initiative. Cannot wait to test it out. Thank you, gents. Hey, Ian, you missed a couple of questions on the chat. Would the composition of indices change frequently based on changes in tokenomics ratings? So the good question. So the composition changes based on the time horizon you have, right? So if you have it on monthly, it will change once a month, right? So for example, right, because the indices are not really meant to trade, right? So the indices, they get their portfolio, their holdings, and they keep those until the next time they have to rebalance, right? So if it's monthly, they'll keep this portfolio for a month, and then they'll reevaluate. And basically, if there's any holding that's overweight based on the recommended portfolio allocation. So for example, if in this case, this is the monthly TA. So monthly TA currently has Hex, for example, right? A very speculative coin. If Hex goes up and is now 15% of the portfolio, meaning that it's overweight, it would sell 5% and take profits. And then it will use that to buy any coins that are underweight. So if VeChain is down to 5%, it would use the proceeds of that profit to buy the dip on VeChain. So this is probably one of the best aspects of this because it automates and forces you to buy low and sell high. And that's very vital in all kinds of investing, right? Because most people lose money in investing because they buy high and sell low, right? And this is actually has been a challenge, especially with some users we have on our platform who are very new. I think this was also a question somebody had. So the question has been is, in terms of the TA trends, when it says bullish, does that mean it's peaked and it's time to sell? Or does that mean it's time to buy? So bullish means that it's time to get in. It's time to buy, right? Obviously, this is just kind of based on our research and data, and everything's up to you. At the end of the day, you have to decide whether to get in or not. But when it's bullish, it's time to buy. When it's bearish, it's time to sell, right? Basically, it's peaked. Now, this should not be the only indicator, as mentioned before, right? I would kind of use the 3-point checklist if you're targeting specific coins. But if you have a particular coin, I mean, for example, Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, our models have been fairly accurate on this. Bitcoin, this month, our models were either neutral or bearish, and Bitcoin has not moved at all, right? So that has really allowed altcoins to flourish, right? So for anybody out there who's maybe looking to take profits on Bitcoin or get out, right? I mean, so our models, I think, have pretty much called that not quite perfectly, but very close to perfect in terms of the TA trend. Okay, let me see if there are any other questions I missed. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, let me get back to the questions people had emailed. Okay, somebody is saying they would like more information on MCO. Okay, I think that's Okay, I will add that. I think that should already be in tokenmetrics. Let me just pull this up here. Yeah, so we already have this on tokenmetrics. Okay, let me go to the next question. What are your thoughts on ByDao, even though the ICO wasn't supposed to be available for Americans? So I've covered my take on ByDao. I'm personally not so bullish on it. It's very early stage, and early stage investing before anything is trading on exchanges is very risky, especially after going through 2 years of a bear market in crypto. And then the team is very young. I know there's been lots of hype around it, mainly because of their quote unquote partnerships with different platforms like I think Binance and Chainlink. But I wouldn't really call those partnerships. It just seems more like they're building on Binance chain and they're using Chainlink. I wouldn't really call them partnerships per se, right? So I would definitely kind of just be cautious with that. And then the question I would really ask myself is, okay, so is this coin better than any of the other coins out there, right? So are you more bullish on the technology and fundamentals of ByDao over all these other cryptocurrencies that are doing kind of the same thing, right? My understanding is it's basically like Maker and Dai. So do you think ByDao is better than Maker and Dai long term in the next 2 to 3 years? If the answer is no, then I mean, I honestly would not touch it, right? If you're just getting into it purely because you think DeFi is hot and because they're building on Binance and you think this could just get pumped, then that's not really a long-term value play. That's just more of a speculation. So you're basically just a trader. And if you're a trader, I wouldn't really get in beforehand. I'll probably just wait and see what the price action is on exchanges, because do they even get listed on any credible exchange is the question, right? That's something we've all gone through in crypto, right? Where a project promised Binance or some other big exchange and they ended up getting nothing, right? So we've all kind of been jaded by that. So I'll definitely be very cautious when it comes to that. Okay, going on to the next question here. Do you have any analysis on the altcoin Nimic listed on KeyCoin? Also Band Network. I know Band, we are currently researching that. We do have the rough, okay, maybe we don't have that. I thought we did. Okay, I think maybe we took that out. Let me just, sorry, just give me 1 second here. Okay, yeah, so I think Band we're still researching. Then Nimic, no. But I do recall Nimic because I was an investor back in the ICO back in 2017. And I know it definitely didn't really do so well. But it's good now that they're kind of getting some more attention and awareness. Okay. But I'll basically have our team add that to our list of projects to research. Now, if anybody else also has any projects you would like to send to our team, I would definitely go to our feedback page, go to feedback.tokenmetrics.com. We use this to basically kind of get input from our audience in terms of what cryptocurrencies to look at, right? So for example, if you just, let me go to tokens. Actually, I'm sorry, let me go back. So if we go to token requests, and if we sort by votes, so the more votes something gets, the more we're willing to add it, right? So all these different cryptocurrencies, actually some of these we have added, so we have to go through and close them. So I would definitely use feedback.tokenmetrics.com to submit any cryptocurrencies you want us to evaluate. Okay. All right. Going on to the next question. So now we're going to requests from our customers. Is there a mastermind group to follow and share ideas? I'm new in the crypto space and only been investing about 2 months. Yes, we do. So we do have a private mastermind group, but that's for the professional group at the moment, right? So if you just go here to pricing, okay, sorry, it looks like I've been logged out. let me just log back in here. Just give me a second. Yeah, so we have bi-weekly calls every 2 weeks, so about 1 hour. So calls kind of like this, also with our team, with Bill Noble on our team, most of you know him from our channel. Okay, so if you go to the pricing page here, all right, so the professional plan, so that kind of gives you that. This is the private investor network, basically our Telegram, and this also has our calls. I think we have emailed out some example calls just to kind of show you guys how those look like. Currently, our Telegram group has about 80 people in it, ranging from investors to traders to entrepreneurs to some people just in my network that I think bring value, right? So to other people, some people that are kind of well known publicly, without really naming names. So yes, that's one aspect to kind of have the mastermind group. Then we also do have our forum. If you just go to forum.tokenmetrics.com, this is also a great place for you to just kind of have dialogue with other customers and just people in our community, right? So this is getting more and more active. We have over 400 people on this forum, right? So if you're a beginner and maybe you aren't on the professional plan, this is definitely a good resource to use and leverage. Then we also have our Telegram group as well. So if you just go to, it should be at the bottom of the forum down here. Then also on our page, I think it's down at the bottom, our Telegram group, so discussion. So yeah, so just go to, this is the link also at the bottom of the page. We have over 3,000 people and we have a good amount online. So I would say those are the great places to kind of just talk with other people, other like-minded people, and both the Telegram and the forum are free and open to everyone. Okay. All right. Moving on to the next request. Can we get notifications when the ratings change for token metrics in our portfolio? Yes. So that is something we are working on. So if I go back to the feedback page, so the feedback page is also a place where we keep track of different things. So if you go here to roadmap, you can see what we're actively working on. All right. So actually, indices are now complete. So doing the email notifications is up next, right? So stay tuned on that. As mentioned, I think timeline for that is probably as early as 1 month. So basically August or as late as September, but I would say definitely before fall, right? So that's kind of the target date. So we'll keep you posted on that. And then going to the next question, when will we be able to buy Ethereum and Bitcoin from Tokenmetrics platform? Good question. So we're based in the US. There's lots of regulation and compliance around that. So that is something that we're kind of treading lightly. Right now, we kind of have been building things in phases. So the first phase was building the analytics platform, right? So that's kind of what everybody had for the since we've launched in the first, I would say, first 7 months, right? So phase 1 was building the platform, right, where we have all the different coins and the data and the analytics. So this, and then the second phase is now building and really optimizing the indices, and then the next phase will be building the robo advisor, right? So as you may have seen here, right, this is really taking the indices and automating everything, making everything automated for you. So being able to just deposit funds and make sure and have it buy based on the time horizon you have. So timeline for this, it's tough to say. I would say maybe earliest would be probably 6 months, but safe play, I would say maybe sometime next year. And the market has been changing rapidly. So we're also, I know some people have told us to look into maybe doing some kind of DeFi index. So that would also be very interesting to see how that could work, right? Maybe there could be a way for us to decentralize and kind of just have people execute all the indices maybe via Kyber network or some other platforms. The challenge with that, however, is it's only ERC20 token based. So you wouldn't really be able to trade cryptocurrencies that are not on the Ethereum blockchain. So that would mean currencies like Ontology, Stratus in this case, Waves, Zcash, right? So it would be very limited, but I mean, it could be one way to go. I mean, maybe it could be faster to develop. So that's something we're actively, I would say, researching and just kind of trying to see if that could be a route to go. So stay tuned on that. Then let me go to the last question from the request section. When will we have an API connection? So good question. So that's also something. So currently, the APIs are only available internally. They aren't really ready to be used publicly, but that is something that likely would come just in terms of priority after the robo-advisor, I would think, right? Because we want to make sure all that is kind of done and good to go before we really start working on public APIs. But that is something that is in the future roadmap. All right, so then we have 3 other questions. Then I can take some more questions from the audience. Okay, so are these portfolios we invest through token metrics only? So the indices here, so all these are indices that are based on our ratings, right? So this is kind of based on our analysis and the modeling. Now these are not investable directly, right? You still have to go onto an exchange and buy or sell these cryptocurrencies yourself. But in the future, one of the next things we'd like to build, as mentioned, is the robo-advisors. So being able to trade and buy and sell on your behalf and doing everything all directly in the platform, right? Because that's something people have been asking for a lot. So that is something we would like to do in the future. And I mean, if we're able to do that via DeFi, then that's even better. If anybody has any recommendations or just advice in general, or just any thoughts they would like to share with us, definitely feel free to contact our team. You can do it by just emailing us, by just responding back to the newsletters, or just emailing Ian at tokenmetrics.com, or just info@tokenmetrics.com. Yeah. Then the next question: before DeFi, ICOs were the hot thing. Where do you see the industry going in the next 5 years? Wow. Okay, so that is definitely a good question. I honestly, I'm very, very bullish on Ethereum. This is something I've kind of mentioned publicly, but even more bullish now with what's happening with DeFi and decentralized finance. But more specifically, if Ethereum is able to consolidate all of crypto onto their platform, I mean, that's pretty big for crypto, right? Because right now we have lots of people who are former Bitcoin maximalists who are now crossing over and sending their Bitcoin either through Ren BTC or wrapped Bitcoin to lend on DeFi platforms to earn yield, right? For yield farming, for example, right? So when Bitcoin is now migrating over onto the Ethereum blockchain in droves, I think it's pretty crucial to pay attention. And then also, I think we're in the future, in the next 5 years or so, we'll start to see more dApps start to get traction, and also those dApps that have tokens start to do well, right? We've kind of seen some flashes of that with DeFi, where now dApps or layer 2 protocols are performing pretty well, like Compound, for example, and but even other platforms that are pretty popular. So let me pull up. So one platform that's pretty popular for DeFi is InstaDApp, for example, right? So let me share my screen here again. So InstaDApp, for example, is now one of the most popular platforms to use. Then Uniswap as well is also one that's pretty popular to use. So I would say we're now really starting to see dApps that have actual usage. So back in 2017 with ICOs, it was all hype, right? Companies were raising money and people were investing into companies. before they had users, before they had traction. Now that model has flipped. Now you have to first get users and traction, and then issue and mint your own token. And that's what's kind of been leading this entire DeFi frenzy. It's still pretty early, and I think it's still very highly speculative because people are basically just FOMOing into any DeFi token now. So to me, that still is concerning. That's why if you go to Tokenmetrics, most DeFi coins haven't really had good ratings. And I think the only DeFi coin that's new, that's launched this year, that has had a pretty good rating is basically Compound, right? Compound technology-wise is very, very good. And we've kind of, our models have actually been very accurate TA-wise on Compound, because when it launched, we said it was overbought. There was too much hype. Wait for it to basically fizzle out. And as you see, the price has been coming down drastically. And we think once this flips to very bullish, then Compound in your portfolio would be a very good coin to hold, right? So this is for long-term value investors. So we think once this switches to bullish, then Compound is a good coin to hold. But going back to your question earlier, right? So where do I see the industry in 5 years? I think Ethereum. I mean, my prediction has been Ethereum will surpass Bitcoin in market cap in 10 years by the year 2030. But I mean, if things go on like this, it could happen even faster. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, because Bitcoin is really focusing towards one use case. I know some people will say that Bitcoin is also trying to do DeFi, but I mean, Ethereum really has a leg up and first mover advantage on DeFi. And I think if you get derivatives, for example, which is a $500 billion market, and that gets tokenized and put on a blockchain, I think that's going to be on Ethereum as opposed to Bitcoin. I think Ethereum just has way too much network effects, and the developer community is now catching up towards Bitcoin. So I think DeFi is real, but the only concern I see, so I would say the bearish case for DeFi would be regulation. Now we know the SEC and the Commodities and Futures Trade Commission recently fined Abra for basically marketing to U.S. investors for their swaps, and they've done the same thing in the past with Ether Delta. Now DeFi platforms are quote unquote more decentralized, and they technically can't be stopped because anybody can just use them and deploy them, right? But I think right now DeFi won't really take off until there's been some form of clarification from regulators in terms of how it can work in a legal and compliant manner, because I still think it's very risky because anybody can use DeFi, right? So there's no KYC, there's no AML. So anybody, I mean, so you could literally be a terrorist, go onto Aave, get a flash loan with no collateral, use that to do whatever, right? Or go onto a DEX like DYDX, trade with leverage, make money, and then use that to fund just bad means, right? So I don't think regulators will sit tightly and just let that happen. I think it takes time. So for example, with Abra, it took about almost, I think, 18 months, I believe, from investigation to the actual judgment and action. So I know in the past, BitMEX has also been investigated by the CFTC. So maybe there's also something happening there, but that's just me just kind of going based on what's happening in the news. But I would say in the next 5 years, hopefully there's more clarity in terms of regulation. But I mean, DeFi is definitely something to learn and just kind of have a grasp of. But I think we'll have to just get more clarity from regulators before it takes off. But I'm still very bullish on DeFi and Ethereum in general. Okay, and last question from that people emailed in: how would you invest in DeFi for the long term? Okay, so let me pull that up here and kind of go through that. Okay, so if you're looking to invest purely into DeFi for the long term, I would just go to Value Investor. Then I would go through and only look at cryptocurrencies that have high ratings. So I'll just kind of sort by grade and just pick the ones that have DeFi, right? So if you want to build a DeFi portfolio, so I'll probably have some Ethereum in there, 0x in there, that's DeFi. Maker, Kyber Network, Synthetics, Aave, right? So I'll just kind of go down the list, and then I would allocate the portfolio weights based on the grade, right? So meaning Ethereum would have the most, followed by 0x and on and on, right? That's basically the way I would do it, honestly, if I was doing it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of questions you have emailed. Let's now open up the floor to questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, feel free to either just type in the chat, or here, let me, or just raise your hand in the chat, and I can unmute you to talk if you would like to talk. Okay, actually, hey Bill. So Bill, also on our team, is also on the call. Bill, is there anything else you'd like to add on your end? Maybe anything I didn't cover, or just anything extra?
Well, the only thing I would add quickly is that
let me just unmute you. Okay, I don't think we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So the only thing I would add is probably something you may have already covered, is that, you know, the indices allow you to find the cryptocurrencies that you can either buy or do more in-depth research on. So that's kind of the beauty of that. But that probably doesn't end how your research process goes. You're probably still going to use the list and table that Ian was talking about. And the only other thing that I would add is that, you know, when it comes to alt season, don't just focus on DeFi, because alt season this time has started to actually spread out. So you want to keep an open mind. I know people have made money in DeFi, and a lot of that money's been fast money. Mm-hmm. But, you know, in our value investing section, you know, we've got bigger coins that have ripped, like Cosmos, you know. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind when you're doing your research.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay, so we have some comments here in the chat. Let me get to them. Questions. Just give me 1 second to read them. Okay, so question from Rodrigo. How frequently do tokenomics ratings change, daily, weekly? So the ratings change, I would say daily. So it depends. For the trader, they change between every 6 to 24 hours. And then there are different data points that are a subset of those ratings that change even more often. So for example, for trader, I mean, for all the ratings, the pricing changes. I think price updates about every 15 minutes or so. So for trader, that because it's more dependent on price and price action, so those ratings change even more. That's why it's grouped under trader. For value investor, the fundamentals and the technology, those do change based on major events. So for example, if a project launches their mainnet, we'll go back and reevaluate and basically kind of add that in there. So those I'll probably say change maybe every 3 to 6 months. But that's typically when there's a newsworthy event, or when customers tell us that there's a big update that happened that we should make to that project. Then next comment, thanks for your opinion on BiDAO. Which ICOs, so why ICO do you have in mind, or which ICO do we have in mind? We're not really doing ICOs or token sales. But with that being said, I mean, one project we did research recently that should be on the platform now is Ava. They did post Ava Labs or Avalanche. They did postpone their public token sale. The rating on that is not the best as well. I think in general, just any new cryptocurrency, we're skeptical on until it's proven itself, right? So fundamentals are not quite there because it's illiquid. Technology is better than the norm, but nothing spectacular yet. But definitely worth keeping an eye on. I did read the white paper, and it was probably the best white paper I've read this year. Definitely very interesting, innovative idea if they're able to pull it off. Okay, going on to the next question in the chat. So is price prediction completely separate of TA signals, such as bearish or bullish? Yes, so price prediction is separate. It's a different model, right? So technical analysis, so just give me 1 second here, because this is not trading. So let me pick a coin that's trading. So as mentioned before, technical analysis is looking at the indicators, the trading indicators, right? So all these, right, this is different from the price prediction. Right? And price prediction is looking purely at just the chart, right? So purely at the chart, right? So it's just looking at this line and where the price has been historically and trying to predict where it's going. Okay. Next question from Joshua. Do the indices take into account gains made by staking? For example, Matic Network now allows staking. No, right now the staking gains are not factored in, but maybe in the future we'll be able to factor that in. But right now, staking is not factored in. But good question. And then the disclosure: I do own Matic, and I'm also staking Matic Network as well. Began doing that this week. Okay. Yeah. So that's it for questions in the chat. Now let me unmute everyone. Hopefully it's not too crazy. Anybody with any questions they would like to speak, or just any comments or thoughts? Feel free to just speak. I think everyone should be unmuted. No? Okay. Well, if we've answered everything, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the kind words, Joe, Rodrigo, Joshua, and everybody else on the call. So yeah, just to kind of recap, tokenomics indices has been one of the most requested features for tokenomics, and we think this can cater to your to anybody's trading or investing style, right? So you just come here, you put in the trader investor style, the time horizon, whether you're weekly, monthly, then the investment style, weighted, right? And as mentioned before, Value Investor has the fundamentals and technology, and the price prediction is under the trader. And everything here shows the performance for the indices, the holdings, the performance versus Bitcoin. So you know how accurate our ratings are. That's something people have been asking for. So now everything can be compared, right? Whether we're performing well or poorly, everything is here transparently. And then also the holdings. This gives you a guide in terms of where to start and begin with building your portfolio based on the style you've chosen. And then also the trades that are being made, right? Whenever it buys or sells. And then, as mentioned, we are working on next building the alerts and notifications that will let you know when changes have been made in the indices based on whichever one you're in. Okay, see, we have a few other comments here. Okay, so Richard says, I hope we can have such webinars, even for those on the investor plan. Well, I mean, so we'll definitely try to have these whenever we have any big updates. So kind of like this, to make sure everybody has a chance to go through and really ask any questions in terms of how to really use and maximize the platform. Now, if you want the more frequent calls, those will have to be on the bi-weekly call. Those are kind of us every 2 weeks going through the market, going through Bill doing TA on different cryptocurrencies, talking about different things we're looking at, people sharing their tips or questions around DeFi, around trading, and then also the private Telegram group. Okay, Joel says, currently on hodler plan, how do I upgrade to investor plan? Good question. So to upgrade, just go to pricing. Okay, sorry. I'm not sure why it keeps logging me out. I think, let me just take a look here. Okay, maybe our development team is deploying something. Okay, sorry, just had to refresh. I think I was on a different tab. Yeah, so go to pricing. Just pick whichever one you have. And then this is a question that comes up a lot. whatever. So if you're on the hodl plan and you pick the investor plan, whatever you paid will count towards the upgrade, right? So you'll only pay the difference. So you won't have to repay again, right? So for example, if you paid 240 for the hodl plan annual and you go to the investor plan, the 240 will count towards the $600 basically, and you'll just pay the difference. And same thing with the professional plan. Okay. And then if you have any issues, feel free to just contact us with the chat down below. Right. So if you go down below, sorry, let me close that. Right. So just down below, contact our team. Right. Our team can also help you with that as well. Right. And then if you have any questions, we also have self-service here. So if you just type in, I think there should be a guide for upgrading. If not, we'll have to create one. Yes, yeah. So we have a guide here as well, right? It kind of goes through that same thing, right? It kind of, yeah, basically just tells you the same thing I just said. Okay. Let me see if there's any other questions I missed. Okay, well, that's pretty much it. Once again, thank you all for being customers with Token Metrics. It's definitely been a pleasure having you all on board. Thank you for all the support, all the input. And okay, so you have, okay, yeah, thank you, Alice. Thank you, everybody. And as we like to say,
we just landed on the moon in the Lambo.
The moon is not the limit, to the moon and beyond. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, crypto family. And we'll talk to you on the next call. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.